Why the increase? Human activity is suspected, especially burning to clear land for farming and mining, and that's development that's being encouraged by Brazil's president. But some scientists warn that the fires could deal a devastating blow to the fight against climate change.
The Speaker of New Zealand's parliament is getting a lot of attention this morning for a really heartwarming scene that happened right on the chamber floor. Trevor Mallard has become something of a social media sensation after a video of him feeding a colleague's baby went viral. That baby belongs to Parliament member Tamati Coffey. Mallard posted pictures.
Jason also hears Jeff for today's show.
Hey, Reid, Jason in Baltimore. Can you hear me?
Hey, Jason, I got you loud and clear. How about me?
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I can hear you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, you bet. Absolutely. Anything from Maryland.
I appreciate it. Hold on 1 second. Let me just check on one thing. I get, it comes right back to me in my earpiece. Is there a way to eliminate that?
The Today Show? What comes?
Oh, okay. Okay, excellent. That's fine. Reid, tell me a little bit about the renewed interest in heading back to the moon. This is pretty cool.
Right now, NASA has the Artemis program ongoing. It's actually already taken its first few steps. We're going to launch a vehicle in 2021 without crew on it, and then crew in 2023 around the moon with the next man and the first woman landing on the surface of the moon in 2024. Really, there's excitement. There's excitement at NASA. I think there's excitement in the public, and there's certainly excitement out in industry talking to the companies throughout our country that are going to work on this program.
I bet there is. And also, you know, we've, of course, been there before. Is there research that we can build upon that was done the first time to the moon with these new missions?
I would say the world was a different place when we went the first time, and we were competing against Russia, and now we are more of a, I'd say, a global race of humans, and we're going back to the moon to stay, and we're going to leverage what we learn on the moon and the infrastructure that we build there to go on to Mars. Mars is the ultimate destination for us, and we hope to be there in about a decade and a half.
So could this sort of be like the proving grounds? You know, you could possibly set up shop there, anticipating that next move to Mars?
Absolutely, 100%. So we're going to set up shop there. NASA's going to lead the charge in 2024, and then we hope to build this sustained presence on the surface of the moon that we can leverage for whatever we need. If we want to do research, if companies want to go and try to use the moon for financial gain, and then we'll leverage all of that to get ourselves onto Mars.
How cool is it for you, and how interesting is it to see so many private businesses take part now in the space race? When you see SpaceX, you see Boeing, all these companies sort of want to be part of this.
Back in 2014, when I had the opportunity to go to the space station for 6 months, it was a personal honor to get to go into low Earth orbit. But I will tell you, as soon as I got there, my first thought was not a selfish one. It was every single person. I wanted my brother up there. I wanted my mom and dad. I wanted my kids, my wife. I wanted everyone from Maryland to get a chance to look out, because our planet is so amazingly beautiful. If you get just that one opportunity to go up and put your own eyes on it and look down at it, it really fundamentally changes you.
Yeah, I remember you doing a teleconference back with your old high school. I guess that was a couple years back. How much of a thrill is it to sort of pay this forward to all the folks that help you along the way, and now to see it pay off?
It's the biggest honor you can get, to know that there's a chance that I could motivate some young person. They may not go into the space industry, but I may spark some drive in them that sends them off to develop the new technology that'll power cars, planes, whatever. That is just, to me, that's the coolest. To get to share in some of this. That's why I kind of love social media. We get to just reach out into anyone's homes that want to go along for the ride, and we get to explain what we're doing. So it's a great time to get to explore space.
Yeah. Last one for you. When can we expect to see you go back up again and do another one of those teleconferences?
We're going to the moon in 2024.
Okay, excellent. I'm looking forward to it, man.
All right.
Have a good one. Thank you so much for joining us.
Have a good day.
Yep, you too.
Not bad. Humid as well. Dry during the day, but overnight there could be a few storms.
Oh, okay. Hello.
Okay, got it.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, good.
Is this Mike?
Yes.
Hey, good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Yeah, we met up at, you gave a high school talk, I think at Delaney.
I did. Super.
A few years ago. I was the big guy.
Oh, good. Good to hear your voice again, Mike.
Yeah. Hey, good. So I think we're rolling. Let's just get right to it. So tell me, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the Artemis program and returning the next man and the first woman to the surface of the moon in 2024. It's pretty unbelievably exciting for us.
What is your role going to be?
Well, that's to be determined. I'd love to be walking around on the moon in 2024 or 2025, as we'll see where that all goes. But for right now, I'm working with NASA and our partner companies to develop the requirements for the lander. And we have a few test flights coming up in 2021 of the rocket that's going to take us out there, and then a crewed flight in 2023. So there's a lot going on right now.
How many astronauts are there? What do you think your chances are that you'll get back into space?
Well, we have about 35 astronauts right now. I'd say my chances that I get back in space are quite good.
Delightful. Hey, remind everybody where you're from, your hometown boy, and all that.
I am. I grew up in Baltimore County, now living in Houston, Texas, and it's always fun to get to talk back to Baltimore.
I know that there was some talk about that broadly. You remember back when they did Apollo, how so many technologies had to be created, and now while things are more global, there still is some spill-off to be had in Maryland for different contractors and folks who have to develop these systems.
Looking just at the Artemis program, there's 109 companies that are supplying parts for the rocket, eventually for the lander. There's a test in Elkton, Maryland today for what we call the ascent attitude control motor for the abort system. So there is loads of work being done in Maryland for this program.
So when you're helping to develop different specifications and schemes, are you doing it from the sort of the astronaut crew comfort point of view, or is it more technical? How does the machine work?
Certainly, when they're talking to the crew, they love to hear how the machine works, but the thing they're really looking for, the thing we try to drive home is two things. Make sure the crew gets there and gets back alive, and then the human being actually can enable mission success. So what can the human in the vehicle do to save the mission? If you think back to like Apollo 13, where they had a big failure on their way to the moon, and it was the humans involved with the machine that got those crew members back alive.
You know, I remember reading something recently about, a journey to Mars. One of the things that hasn't been solved, and obviously you'll correct me if I'm wrong, is just sort of the shielding for the human. As you've seen that, some of your colleagues that what you encounter out there with all the cosmic rays and stuff changes the human body. How much of a concern is that to you, and how much are they working on that problem?
So going back to the moon, it's definitely a concern, but we're working on that problem. For going to Mars, when we're going to spend 6 months on the way out there, and then probably 2 years on the surface of Mars, and then 6 months on the way back, that's a much bigger problem. But we are learning we've sent probes out to Mars. They've measured the radiation all the way out there on the surface of Mars. Likewise, we know the radiation levels on the surface of the moon. And so we have all the data. Now we just need to solve some of the technological challenges. And I'll tell you, we're there. If we wanted to go to Mars in the next decade, which we do, I think we have the technology to do it.
Hey, why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? We want to get a sustained presence on the moon. We want to learn about operating on a different planet. This is not just throw a few humans on for a few days and bring them back. Our long-term desire is to be sustained on the moon, learn how to operate on a different celestial body, and then head on to Mars and do the research there that we want to do.
And how does that benefit humanity?
It's going to benefit humanity in almost every way. It'll be the small nuances from improved radars, improved systems that are going to be used on autonomous cars. Those are the things we need to land on the moon. So I say humanity right now is in a transition. Cars are starting to drive themselves. Airplanes are starting to fly themselves. So now I think this Artemis program will take us that next step in proving out these systems.
You know, with the original space race in Apollo, it really changed some. It helped to bring about a lot of changes technologically in this country and in the world. Will this program have the same effect?
There is no doubt.
How so?
Anytime that you need to take the entire national team and eventually the entire global team and get them working for solving technological challenges, we are going to do so much research on the moon. We're going to use moon surfaces to generate fuel that we can use to take us to Mars, to generate water, to generate oxygen. All of these technologies are going to funnel down into helping everyday humans on Earth.
I remember thinking it's fascinating that a lot of technologies came about to solve one problem, but it ended up helping something that the scientists never dreamed of. I would imagine there'd be those types of happy endings as well.
Well, for sure. All the research we're doing on the International Space Station, where I was, you remember in 2014, anytime you do general basic science or try to solve some technological challenge, there's going to be trickle-down effects. There's going to be the unknowns that you accidentally solve and learn something about either the human body or the machine or the place that you're going, like the moon or to Mars.
Hey, I know why you're talking to us, because you're the Maryland boy. Why are they putting you out there to talk to every reporter today? What do you bring to this?
Well, Northrop Grumman has a big test today for that attitude motor that I was talking about. And then the Artemis mission in general is just getting the public educated that NASA is alive and well. We have a mission. We're going to the moon in 2024, and then we're going on to Mars. When are you going to come back and talk to the folks in Maryland? I would like to get back there anytime. I need the invite, and I'll be up there. Well, we'll take you out to Costas and maybe Pappas and get you a crab cake. All right, that is the invite I needed. I'll be there. Good. Hey, so finally, the question I have for you is where are you just sort of on the terms of excitement and confidence that this is going to happen? I've worked at NASA now for 10 years, and I will tell you, I have never seen the level of excitement. There's excitement at NASA, and then there's excitement. This is not NASA doing this. This is the United States of America doing this program, the Artemis program, and there are companies all across our country that have a part in it, and there is excitement in every one of those companies. And these aren't, these are kids just out of college. These are senior managers. Everybody is excited about this. Everybody is talking about this. So there is kind of this wave of excitement being generated just by saying we're going back to the moon. You remember the criticisms from the first round, which was, there's so many other problems to solve and we have limited budget. Well, how can our country afford to do this now? I like to say, when we're working on these programs, we're not just taking money and dumping it. We're putting money into every American's pocket. We're putting money into companies. We're putting money into research that's going to come back on us. Apollo, for sure, when you look back at that program, the amount that we spent has been returned many, many times over. And so when you're investing in people, which we're doing, and when you're investing in technology, which we're doing, you definitely are building infrastructure in our country, you're solving problems, and the other thing you're doing is you're motivating an entire generation of Americans. I was not alive during the Apollo program. That program motivated my entire life. There are millions of people in our country that are like that, and when you go out and do something big and bold and solve new challenges, you're definitely going to motivate the next generation. Hey, Reid, it was great to talk to you. Look forward to seeing you when you come back to Baltimore, and good luck. Absolutely. Thank you. It's great talking to you as well, Mike.
weekend. Today is still hot, though. We're climbing to the 70s with high humidity. We will end up in the low 90s this afternoon. Today is dry, but by the evening and overnight, a chance for thunderstorms. About a 40% chance that you'll get a storm after sunset. And then tomorrow we'll see a few rounds of rain and thunder in the middle of the day. That keeps tomorrow a lot cooler. The highs will only be in the 70s for Friday. Over the weekend, closer to 80, but with sunshine and low humidity, it's going to be a great weekend to be outdoors. If you're out in the early mornings, a little chilly. Might need a light jacket or a long sleeve as we dip to the 60s both nights.
Wow, sounds nice. Right now, 73 in Towson. We're headed up to a high today of 92 yet again. If you're considering buying a vehicle, stop by Jones, only 15 minutes from White Marsh Mall. Check them out online at jonesjunction.com. 8:07 on WBAL News Radio 1090 and FM 101.5.
WBAL News Radio 1090 and FM 101.5.
Sports. Astronaut Reid Wiseman coming up right after Bobby Trossett in sports.
The Ravens' tight end unit and its depth were popular talking points this offseason. John Harbaugh detailed Nick Boyle's impact on the maturation process of fellow teammates Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews.
His style of play, and it's the way he goes about his job. I mean, Nick is all business. I mean, he'll laugh and have fun, but quickly turns his attention right back to the task at hand. So loved him ever since he got to the Ravens, and I'm glad he's our tight end.
Join Keith Mills, Brett Hollander, and I later today for pregame coverage beginning at 4:30 right up until the 7:30 preseason kickoff from Philadelphia, where Jerry Sandusky, the coach Brian Billick, and Evan Washburn have you covered right here on WBAL. In last night's 8-1 victory over Kansas City, the Orioles took their first series since July in Anaheim. It came at a price, though, as Whit Merrifield's third-inning solo shot marked the 258th home run surrendered by the club this season. That ties the 2016 Reds for most in Major League Baseball history. The University of Maryland has implemented its final recommendation following the death of football player Jordan McNair due to heat stroke last year. Dr. Yvette Rooks will head up the school's new sports medicine department as the lead team physician. I'm Bobby Trossin on the home of Navy football and the Baltimore Ravens, WBAL News Radio 1090 and FM 101.5.
News is brought to you by Cornerstone Antiques, Consignments, and New Home Furnishings. Brian Eben with you on this Thursday morning. Very special guest this morning, Baltimore's own, Delaney High School's own, Johns Hopkins University's own, Reid Wiseman, astronaut who spent 165 days in space on the International Space Station. Great to have you on. Appreciate you coming on the show. I know you're working a big part of NASA's hope to get a woman and the next man to the moon by 2024. How are we on that progress, Reid?
Hey, Brian, we are doing great. We are right on track. We're going to have an uncrewed test flight in 2021. We're going to send a crewed mission out in 2023 to go around the moon, and we are right on target for putting 2 Americans on the moon in 2024.
All right, what's the significance of that to go back to the moon? Look, we've been there before, but it's been a long time. What are we looking for this time around when we head back to the moon?
Well, the world's a different place now than it was 50 years ago, and what we're looking for this time is eventually getting onto Mars. So to do that, we're going to go back to the moon. We're going to build a sustained presence. This isn't going to be just a government operation. This is going to be industry from our entire country coming together. There's 109 companies in Maryland that are supplying parts for these missions, and we're going to sustain presence on the moon. We're going to learn, and we're going to go into Mars.
All right, Mars is a different animal, right, than the moon. We've been to the moon. Getting to Mars is more difficult. How much more difficult would it be to get to Mars versus the moon?
I got to tell you, it's going to be difficult, but we're pretty much there. We have learned a lot in low Earth orbit. We've had Americans living off the surface of our country for the last 20 years. We know how the human body reacts. We know a lot about the materials that we need to get out to Mars. Radiation is still a bit of a challenge. It's going to be about a 3 to 4, 5-year mission. So there are challenges, but I think we're extremely close. We're going to close the last loops when we go out to the moon in 2024 with the Artemis program, and then we'll be on to Mars in the 30s.
We're talking with Reid Wiseman, Baltimore's own astronaut, spent 165 days in space. You mentioned how times are different. It is kind of fascinating to me as I watch this, and all of the money pumped into the space system before was coming from the government. There are a lot of private entities and, let's be honest, wealthy billionaires who are fascinated with space. How much does that help in that partnership to make these things happen today?
There is no doubt right now we are in a golden age of space exploration. The things that have happened in the last 10 years, honestly, I didn't expect to have happen. There is loads of interest. There is amazing young minds involved all across our country. And, the United States is definitely leading this revolution. It's extremely exciting time.
I've always wondered, when you're up there at the International Space Station, right? You're in the ISS. You're busy. You've got a job to do. But do you get free time? And what was your free time when you were up there? What did you do?
There's always a little time to catch the score of the Orioles game or to watch a Ravens game. I was up there in towards the beginning of football season. You basically work six and a half days a week, and then you generally try to take a Sunday off. And what did I do? You float around and you look out the window. The view of the Earth is absolutely spectacular. Day, night, it doesn't matter which part of the planet you're over. There is always something incredibly interesting to look down upon.
So what's it like for you who's been there when you look up in the sky? You wake up in the morning and you look up, or at nighttime and you're looking at the stars. Do you miss it?
Oh, I miss it. I miss it every single day. It's a great place. The human body loves to be up there. It loves to be floating. And, we're creative creatures. We love to look at new things and see them in a different way. So at night when I look up at the way the sun hits the clouds, I see it completely differently now because I've seen it from above.
All right. I've always also wondered, what is the conversation like with astronauts or people who work at NASA? Like, what do you guys talk about at the water cooler, if you will? I mean, are these discussions on black holes and, physics and all this math stuff? Give me a typical conversation of what it's like, the small talk there.
It is probably just like it is there at WBAL. So we're humans. We're interested in, the kids just went back to school down here in Texas. That's a big one. How did our sports teams do? And then occasionally, if the right astronaut walks by, you get into some deep conversation about neutron stars, black holes, and what's going on in the Milky Way this week.
All right. Is there anything that's out there right now that you're really fascinated about? Something that we just discovered, or we're right on the cusp of figuring out that fascinates you, Reid?
I think you know me well enough. Everything fascinates me. So right now I am extremely fascinated by the rovers that we have on Mars, our probes that we have going out past Saturn, actually outside of our solar system, and looking back on our planet. It's just amazing to me that we are living in this time where we can see all of these things and be a part of all these discoveries.
I love it. I love it. All right, last thing, I'll let you go. I'm just going to say it. Aliens?
When you look out the space station at night and see billions of stars, I have to say without a doubt, yes.
Yeah. Wow. I like that. I like that a lot. I like it a lot. Thank you, Reid. Great to have you on, and best of luck. We appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Reid Wiseman, Maryland's own, Baltimore's own astronaut who spent many, many days, 165 days in space.
Army Navy game is on my bucket list.
Oh, you never got to one?